Hi, my name is Matthew Kayal. I'm going to be your host for this. I'm trying to figure out what I should call this. Essentially, what I am is an info addict. I am addicted to finding out information, and when I have a whim, I have to track down that information and figure out my curiosity. Now, what I am going to be presenting to you are little bits here and there about the things that I pick up during the day, and I'm going to share them with my thoughts. If I get political some days, I'll be political. If not, it's going to be a lot of sports, a lot of comics, a lot of news, a lot of movie stuff, just random information like whether cheesecake is a cake or a pie, stuff like that. So there's a new thing in New Jersey, or at least it's been all over the place, but I'm starting to see them pop up more in New Jersey, called Playa Bowls. Now, Playa Bowls specializes in like fruit bowls that have granola and super fruits in them, that have like super antioxidants and stuff like that. And really, it's an expensive way to give you parfaits. That's all it is. It's a really expensive way to give people parfaits. Like, I can get whatever the hell is in a parfait with like berries and whipped cream and whatnot at McDonald's for $1, or I could go to a Playa Bowl and I can get a coconut bowl, like bananas, some berries, some granola, like smother it in Nutella and peanut butter and honey, and like they said, charge me $9 for it. But I will say this though, on a taste factor alone, the Playa Bowls are much better than those parfaits that they have at McDonald's. Goes without saying, not even a contest. Now, there's one in Seaside Heights that I had a smoothie from, which was pretty good. Forget what the hell was in it, but I wanted a juice. These things have like a nice juice selection, and like I could go for like a carrot and orange juice mix, something really basic, any given point of the day. So this particular Playa Bowl was at the Jackson Commons, the outlets, the Jackson Premium Outlets, basically, and they had a food truck there that had a selection of stuff that they could do. I went with a acai, something, Fruta Nova, something, whatever. It was really good. It was like your basic acai bowl, no bananas. I'm not a banana fan. If I ever go there, I'm probably going to switch out bananas for pineapples. But anyway, go there, and I'm waiting because there was about 5 people ahead of me, and it was pretty fast on that front, and it only took about 10 minutes for them to get through to me. But it was very delicious, very cold. Like, you bite into it, it's like colder than ice cream, if that makes any sense. So I'm enjoying this Playa Bowl, and like for the longest time, I'm just thinking about the fact that I pronounced acai wrong. Like, I always thought it was acai. Like, you see it on vitamin water as a flavor, like ACAI, acai. That's what I thought it was. Like, I think acai sounds a lot better than acai, because acai, like, you have all these, like, stupid white people going, acai, or whatever, like, because they're just having way too much fun saying one stupid word. But I want to do an experiment, though. I want to see whether or not the acai bowls that are fully loaded with fruit and honey and like Nutella and maybe some peanut butter. Hell, I'll even take out the Nutella and the peanut butter and just keep the honey in there with all the regular fruit and the granola, because they have to have more calories and sugars than, say, a Big Mac. Like, I'm not saying like a Big Mac combo meal with the fries and the Coke. I'm just talking about a regular Big Mac. Like, because the first thing you think of is the acai bowl has to be healthier than the Big Mac, but if it has more calories and it has more sugars, like are you making a good enough trade that you're not getting like the grease of the Big Mac, the mayonnaise, the fats? Because there's probably healthier fats in the fruit, but like in terms of like having a Big Mac every day for lunch and having an acai bowl every day for lunch, I'm curious about which is the healthier option. What I'm really saying is I want Morgan Spurlock to do a documentary about only living on Playa Bowls for an entire month and see if he actually finishes it, because it'll be way more expensive for him. I mean, not that he's gonna notice it. He probably can afford it really easily. Now that he's had like 5 or 6 documentaries since Super Size Me, but like I would really be curious, because like I don't trust it as a health option. I mean, it's healthier. I mean, that's like when you wake up in the morning, you say you feel older. Like that like just means that you're still young, but you're pretty damn old. So the Yankees lost last night. Just a heads up, I am a Yankees fan. I enjoy when they win. I don't care how we win. I prefer that the team gets younger, like they've been doing for the past several years. I'm enjoying the fact that like the farm system has paid off with all the trades that we made last year and whatnot. And I won't apologize for winning. Like the Yankees have established that they want to win the most championships of anyone, and so far they're doing a good job of it. So there's nothing better for me than the last inning of a baseball game when you're down by 1 run and you only have so many opportunities to score. Like, this is the one thing that baseball has going for it than any other sport. It's that it's one person at bat, and it's one guy up against an entire team that's ready to like stop him from scoring, and they have multiple opportunities to stop him from scoring. So like that's my love of baseball. Like the last inning, when you guys have the opportunity to get a guy on, to move him over and put him in scoring position, just so that like someone on your side can come along and get him home, like tie the game, like send it into extra innings. And I'm a fan of extra innings because I love games where they go 16 innings into the night. I don't care. I'm not watching it, but when I wake up in the morning, I want to know how long it lasted. And it was like, oh, they went into 16 innings. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning when they finished. It's like, perfect. Like, give me the breakdown. I want to see what happened. Now, last night, 2 outs, they had a guy on base, and Gardner's up. Now, Gardner's been pretty good at finishing games. They walk him, and I'm kind of glad that baseball did away with the having to pitch him 4 times. They just said, like, take your base, like saves us, like, 30 seconds out of the 4 hours that a game can take. I mean, I'm really grateful for it. Then Frazier comes up. And Frazier has 2 pitches right down the middle, I think. Not right down the middle. I'm just saying that because as far as I'm concerned, they were right down the middle. Like, if he was a little bit more presumptive, he probably could have swung at him and hit him. But you know what? He knows what pitches he likes. 2 outs, 2 strikes, 3rd pitch, I think it was, and like, it wasn't a blooper or anything like that. Like, he hit it like right in the middle of left field, where it was easily fielded, and game was over. But hey, it only put him like half a game behind Boston, and like, I have no hate for another team, but I do have extra enjoyment when we beat our rivals. So, like I'm just happy that we got a whole bunch of really good guys that are young. Like, I was tired of having, like, the guys that were the best players on the team be, like, 45, just because, like, what can you expect from that? Like Alex Rodriguez, like, the year that he came back and hit, like, I want to say, what was it, 20 home runs? Something crazy for A, his age, and B, the improvement that he showed, like, from what he played previously, because that was a hell of an improvement. Like, gonna say, like, his jersey is the only one I own. Like, I have, like, not an authentic one. I mean, if I wanted to take the letters off the back of the jersey, I probably could, but, like, why bother? Like, I have a Rodriguez 13, so that's for the one jersey I own on that front, just to give you an idea of what kind of Yankees fan I am. Like I want the wins. I want the championships. I enjoy it. Because, believe it or not, like, as far as sports teams go, like, that sucked. They've sucked the past couple of years, but they were competitive. They were playing meaningful baseball games in September, so I'm very happy with how the things are going, but like I said, championship. Okay, so LeVar Ball is still a thing. Now, I want to preface what I'm about to say and say that I don't care either way about the dude. Like, the guy runs a business that serves him and it promotes his sons. Okay? He did a good job of teaching his son how to play, apparently, because he got drafted top 3, I think it was, by the Lakers. And then he's got 2 more sons along the way that could probably be very good. I mean, the Melo Ball scored, 100 points in a high school game, or like he hit like 53 shots, or like he was the focus of his high school team for one game, and it made the national news. But LeVar Ball is a product of our times, because in the social media age, like, the bigger the voice and the more distinct the voice, the more attractive it is for people. Even if you've accomplished very little, you can become a celebrity. See Kim Kardashian, but in all fairness, Kim Kardashian probably works harder at being a celebrity than anyone I can think of, because we've been talking about her forever. I mean, we only talked about Paris Hilton for a few years. We only talked about that other chick that was before Paris Hilton, who I can't think of. That's how big of a celebrity she is. But like I said, social media age. So LeVar Ball has been in the news recently because the AAU tournament that he was coaching his team on, that Adidas put up the money for, he told a ref that she couldn't be an official for his team in the game that they were playing, or something like that. And now he's catching heat because it was misogynistic, this, that, the other thing. And like, he has a bad track record of doing this, because there's this one female anchor on ESPN that was supposed to talk to him, and he was like, stay in your lane, I'm not talking to you. Like, so this isn't the first time LeVar Ball has done something like this, where a woman was involved and he got like extra him. So the thing I don't like about him is that like, if his sons are what he's doing, what he does for, then, like, why you gotta be a liability? Because, like, suppose the Lakers suck this year. And I mean, they've sucked the past couple of years. Like, they've sucked. I mean, they sucked, I want to say for the last 5 years. I'm not sure they're going to get that much better this year. But it's a possibility that they're going to suck. And how's LeVar Ball going to react to that is what I'm curious about. Because he'll be a human shield for his kid, saying that, like, it ain't Lonzo's fault, it's the team's fault for sucking. Like, that's what he'll say, but he'll say it in a much grander and blusterous way. So, back to LeVar. The dude is a shining example of the me generation that is going on. Like the social media, like I matter more. Like, I can be a celebrity and stuff like that. Like, the dude is owns a sneaker company, and I don't even think it's a sneaker company, but like, he got his son his own shoe deal on shoes that he has made himself, which I'm not even sure how he did it, because if you said that he hired like a bunch of people like under the table and told them to make shoes in his garage, I might believe that, because sneakers aren't that hard to make. All you need is a really good sewing machine and the raw materials and the know-how to put them together. Like, they have sweatshops in India and China, all over the like third world, and they're not that hard to come up with. What I'm curious about, though, is, like, how come everyone, like, doesn't, like, realize that whenever he does something that's equivalent to shitting on the carpet, that he's done this before. The times that he's called out Michael Jordan, I mean, like, that's his personality. Like, the guy averaged, like, LeVar Ball averaged 2 points in college, and he's saying that right now he could beat Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan, like, responded after, like 5 or 6 months later, just saying, like, I could beat him, like, one-legged. So LeVar Ball comes back with one-handed, which, to be honest with you, he can't even beat Michael Jordan in the trash-talking game, because, like, one-legged is much harder to pull off than one-handed. Now, I'm curious, like how is he going to right the ship? Because clearly he produced, like, one NBA talent son already, and he only cost him a deal with Nike or Adidas or whoever it was that wanted to make him the first time. So that's why a ball shoe costs $500 as opposed to like $100. But I really don't care. So Colin Kaepernick might be going to Baltimore. Now, this is interesting because Baltimore is being very transparent about the fact that they're considering Colin Kaepernick. The owner's going to famous players, past players, going to town hall meetings, and he's talking about what are your thoughts about us going for Colin Kaepernick? And then the coach says, my brother coached him in San Francisco, got the best recommendations. Like, Colin Kaepernick could win us a Super Bowl if we had to put him in for us. Ozzie Newsome, the general manager, football operations, whatever guy, he's saying, we want Kaepernick. it would be a good fit to have him on our team. Now, for those that don't know, Colin Kaepernick was famous for kneeling during the national anthem in the 2016 football season for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, he started off sitting down for the national anthem, but no one noticed it until it was pointed out. Then opening day comes, and this is after him kneeling for the preseason games. The outrage was along the lines of it's un-American, like the guy is doing this for what reason, it's disrespectful for the troops and all that. Now, the reason why he was doing it was he thought that black people weren't being treated properly in America. They weren't getting full equality. They were dealing with like police brutality and just a whole lot of things. And he was protesting the conditions. Now, when this started out, my first thought was, what's the end game? Are you going to keep kneeling during the national anthem until, like, justice is found for the people that got shot? Because that's a lot of people in a lot of different situations. Or are you going to just, like, until there's reform? Or are you just going to do this until the team cuts you? Because that was a possibility. Like, not knowing Kaepernick at the time, and I don't know him now, but, like, just to have, like, everyone vouch for him, that this is like a real thing that he believes in, that he's putting his money into like camps and whatnot. But what's interesting is Kaepernick is not a perfect hero. He did a couple of boneheaded things. Like, he had a press conference one time where he had Castro and Malcolm X on his t-shirt, and you really don't want to be talking about human rights and civil rights with Fidel Castro image on your person, because he wasn't human rights, he wasn't civil rights guy. He was a political revolution guy and the opposite of human rights and civil rights progress. Then he had socks on one day where it was pig police officers, I think it was. I forget what the socks were exactly, but they had pigs on them. And there's nothing really, really endearing about going after the police. Even if they're all assholes, like the rest of the country was like, well, we kind of like our police and we don't agree with you and all that shit. So what really bothered me, though, what came out of it when the kneeling was happening was, it's like, it's disrespectful to the troops and all that, and it's like, goddamn, like, when in the country's history did the flag only come to represent, like, the troops and the people that lost their lives? Like that was, like, how many stars ago was there slavery underneath that flag? Like, before, like, we had the Confederate flag in the South, like, they had stars and stripes on their courthouses and their public buildings, too. So, like, let's not get it twisted. Like, slavery was a long time ago, but the effects are still present. So, anyway, Kaepernick kneeling. He played out the season under Chip Kelly, who had nothing but good things to say at him. But this is where it gets interesting to me, because there are football reasons why you would not have Colin Kaepernick be your quarterback. Or at least you wouldn't take him on your team as a quarterback. He's young, but he's not so young. He's been having a bunch of bad years, even though he was one pass away from winning a Super Bowl. And he was in the conference championship. The fact of the matter is, like, under the last year of Harbaugh, when Jim Tomsula was there and when Chip Kelly was there, he had 3 not good enough years. Don't get me wrong, the team sucked. Like, when Harbaugh left, like 8 guys on the 49ers defense just retired, up and retired all at once, and it devastated them. Like, they couldn't win a game afterwards. I think they went like a total of, I don't know, I want to say like 2 games under Chip Kelly and 5 games under Jim Tomsula. So they might have won 7 games altogether last year and the year before. So Kaepernick kneels, and it brings a circus. And there's one thing NFL teams hate, other than the Jets, is circuses. They do not want pressure. They don't want added attention. And supposing that Kaepernick isn't the starter and he's the backup quarterback, like, do you want a circus with your backup quarterback? Meanwhile, if he gets back to what he was when he was in the Super Bowl, when he was in the conference championship game, like, he would be the best quarterback, hands down, in a backup position. Which makes the Ravens' problem so much more interesting because they don't have a backup that can run their system the way that it should be run. Like, that's what everyone's reporting. Like, they have Ryan Mallett, and they have this one guy from an Arena Football League that they want to bring in. And they suck. Like, to the point where the defense is just chirping on the offense, and Joe Flacco is not young, and like, he's not necessarily healthy, and he hasn't stayed healthy over the past few years. So, like, it would be a good bet to place money on him being out at one point during the season. So, the Ravens have been very open about considering Kaepernick, but everyone's saying he'd be a good fit there. The coach wants him, the GM wants him, but the owner's not sure. Steve Bisciotti is the owner of the Ravens. He's had to deal with Ray Rice. He's had to deal with murder investigations. He had to deal with guys getting busted for crimes and whatnot. He's never had the problem of, if I sign this guy, am I going to lose business? And now what they usually say is, well, what would the fans think? What they really mean is, what do our business partners think? Because Kaepernick isn't seen as just a distraction, which he could be, but he could also be seen as un-American because he doesn't vote, he doesn't like the police. Like, he had a very pro-black cause for an entire year, which he's saying that he will not kneel for this year. The reason I think they don't want to just immediately sign him is the same reason why the other dozen or so teams that need a quarterback didn't sign him. Like, they are too afraid of what their business partners would say. They don't care about, like, the fans that pay $100 a ticket to sit in the nosebleeds. They care about the guy that has a suite and drops $1 million into advertising with the team. Like, that's the guy that they care about, and their biggest thing is they don't want to lose the money. They're afraid of the backlash that's coming with signing the dude. Because let's face it, there are scrubs being signed before Colin Kaepernick, and it's ridiculous. Like, the dude did no crime. He did, like, there are rapists, there are murderers, like, there are, like, criminals playing in the NFL right now, no problem. Like, Colin Kaepernick, political, polarizing figure, nope, can't do it. Like, we don't need a quarterback that badly right now that we'd sign him. So, Well, the Olympics are coming to LA in 2028. Now, I love watching the Olympics. I really love watching the Olympics because it gives me a reason to really care about sports that I would never care about any other time of the year, or 4 years even. Like track and field. I don't watch track and field, period, but I'll watch it in the Olympics because it's my guys in the red, white, and blue up against the rest of the world that are competing in one sport, and it's good, honest fun. Like, you get to see really cool opening ceremonies, you get to see really cool closing ceremonies. There's a lot of drama inherent to what's going on in the Olympics. Now, the Olympics, however, themselves are run by maybe the first or second greatest criminal organization in the world. Because, think about this. In Rio, they had stadiums built, buildings built. And when I say built, I mean like the Joey Butterfingers guy with a hammer built, like things didn't work, like things were falling apart, things were unfinished, like they only had 10 years to build it, but nothing was finished when they started. And the athletes were in terrible conditions. The only people that were really living it up was the American basketball team, because they were all like millionaires, like on a single boat together. The biggest controversy, if you ask me, in the Rio Olympics was the water conditions in like the boating and the rowing. Like one dude was in a kayak and he hit a fucking couch. Like, try explaining. I want the ESPN 30 for 30 on that guy. It's like, I trained all my life. I've trained like forever. I've trained for the past 4 years trying to get into the Olympics. I get to the Olympics and I hit a fucking couch in the middle of the fucking Rio River or Delta, whatever body of water that they decided to use. That there was a fucking couch just floating out there, and it took him out of the race. So, fast forward to LA in 2028. Now, I really want to go to Olympics at least once or twice in my lifetime. Like, I'm saving up right now. I want to go to Japan or for the next Summer Olympics. But LA, I mean, that's easy to get to. That is, like, not that hard. I could drive there. Maybe Elon Musk will have the Boring Company all set up and done by then, and I'll be there, like, traveling 500 miles an hour. I'll be there at the end of the day, leave in the morning, get there in the evening. So, LA getting it makes sense, because it has the infrastructure, it has everything ready to go. They don't have to build anything between now and then. They have several stadiums that they could use. What I would love to see the Olympics do is have a rotating cast of countries or cities even that can afford to host the Olympics and make money off of it. But like I said, the International Olympic Committee is maybe one of the greatest criminal organizations of all time, because, like, in plain day, they will rob somebody and get away with it just because it's an agreement that they come to. Like, these cities have to bid on having an Olympics, so they have to, like, just throw money at them, basically. Like, just completely, get in there, like, say, this is what we'll do, and you have these countries that are bending over backwards to turn locations into Olympic cities that really should not be Olympic cities. Like, what was it? Like, Sochi in Russia, they couldn't even have the Olympics in Sochi. They had to go elsewhere to, I don't know, Siberia or whatever, where it was really cold. Like, the snowboarders were like riding on snow that almost killed them, like because they could. It was so crappy, like conditions. Like the one organization that actually puts the IOC like run for its money and like most like criminal, openly corrupt, whatever, is FIFA, because only FIFA could pick Qatar to be the first Arab World Cup, and they picked Qatar in the middle of the summer. It's like the highest temperature it gets to is 120 degrees, and these guys are going to be playing soccer in open air stadiums at 120 degrees. Like, they're going to have to move the time of the year that they do the World Cup just so that they don't kill every major star. They almost did it in Rio when, I forget what stadium it was, but it was in the middle of the Amazon jungle, and like it was hot as hell. Like almost everyone that played in that stadium, the next week they lost their game. I remember the USA like played there, and the year that we got out of the group of death, like we ended up losing, and I blame the stadium because those conditions were just insane. Meanwhile, just to give you a follow up on that one, anyone want to buy a stadium in Brazil? Because like those things are not being used. Like you can actually see them from space with satellites just collecting vegetation. Like 1,000 years from now, when like mankind's gone, they're gonna find those stadiums well built. Like, and they're like, this must have been a coliseum of some sorts. Like, supposing some intelligent civilization arises or visits the planet and finds them. Okay, Major League versus Major League 2. Now, I've seen Major League 1 once or twice. Major League 2, it feels like that's the movie that comes on like on Saturday night or Sunday afternoons or whatever time of day. Like, it's like a syndicated TV movie almost. Like, I didn't realize that Wesley Snipes was in Major League until I watched it after I watched Major League 2. I thought it was always Omar Epps that was Willie Mays Hayes. Now, I think Major League 2 might be the case of the great sequel. Not necessarily better than the first, because the first one has the originality factor going for it. But like, there's way more jokes in Major League 2 than there are in Major League 1. Like, that's the only way I could describe it. There are more jokes. They don't have to worry about establishing the characters. They've already established the characters. Like, Charlie Sheen is like the pitcher that comes out of jail. Willie Mays Hayes is like the diva type that runs really fast. Like, there's like things like that make it a better movie. And I know that like that's gonna piss some people off that I said that the sequel is better than the original, but let's face it, the sequel had more characters, had more jokes, better baseball. I mean, as better baseball as like a movie can get. Like, let's face it, I mean, like when I watch Rocky, I'm not watching it for the demonstration of what boxing is really like. I'm watching it because it's like mythical almost. So, picture this. You're working in a motel, whatever, Holiday Inn. You see a guy walk in a tuxedo. You see a woman walk in a wedding dress. Clearly, these two people just got married. They just got married. Now, you can tell they've been drinking, probably because they just got married, and you can tell that they're visibly drunk. Now, what do you do when an argument breaks out? Usually nothing. I mean, it's an argument between other people and they're drunk. What do you do when the woman reaches into her wedding dress and pulls out a gun and points it at the groom? It's like, call the cops, number one, but goddamn, what the hell? So, this one woman, I want to say it was in Tennessee, somewhere down south, gets married, alcohol's involved, she pulls out a 9mm out of her wedding dress. Like, I'm just picturing, like, the movies where, like, the woman reaches down into her cleavage and pulls out a gun. Like, where the hell did she keep that? Or, no, why the hell did she keep a gun in her wedding dress? Like, that is premeditated. Like, you don't have, like, a knife or a gun on you on your wedding day unless you want a knife or a gun on you on your wedding day. Like, weddings are supposed to be happy and joyous and celebration and whatnot. Like, did someone give her a gun as a wedding present? Like, and how bad? No, I don't need to know how bad the argument was, because, like, when you're drinking, any argument when you're nuts enough to be drinking and carry a gun on you, it seems like a good one at the time. But, and plus, it was like that screwed up when the cops got there. They get there, like, he's not cooperating, she's not cooperating. Like, a witness had to, like, tell the cops what happened, because someone saw it, and someone had to have heard the gunshot, because I'm curious if she did this, like, outside, or if she did it inside, like, the lobby. Like, because if you're in the lobby and you shoot the up, you're hitting the ceiling. That's what you're doing. So, officer comes in. It's like, well, what happened here? Nothing. It's like, where'd that bullet hole in the ceiling come from? It's like, oh, it was there before. I was like, fuck, no, it wasn't. Like, how the hell do you... This is going to be one to follow in the future, if anything, if I remember to follow it. All right, so I've recorded about, I want to say maybe an hour's worth of stuff today. I talked about acai bowls at Playa Bowls. I talked about the Yankees losing. I talked about Melo Ball. I talked about Colin Kaepernick to Baltimore, the Olympics in LA, Major League 1 and 2, a couple of heavy subjects like what kind of respect and liking a person do you do when you don't agree with them. And then I talked about a bride pulling a gun out of her wedding dress. So I want to say I did close to an hour, maybe less than an hour, but I did it while driving home. I compiled the list of things I wanted to talk about today while I was out. Like I'm talking about things that are presented to me throughout the day, the things that make me think, the things that I have an opinion on. So I have three things I could call this thing. I could call it the Matt Kayal podcast, which is probably what I'm leaning towards. Then there's also the ride home. That's an option, but it's not very informative. Like, it's not really good for branding. So, like, while it is the ride home, like, I'm gonna have to find a way to combine the two things and name them. maybe. Then there's the other option, which is that was the day that was, but like that's a nod to like I want to say it was an old game show, like or an old news broadcast, but gonna figure out what to call this thing.